My name is Bremont. I am Sensible, and today we're not doing a mix this week. We are going to be talking about a lot of the research that I've been doing over the past couple weeks in regards to some music equipment I want to buy, some software I already have, and how I want to use it maybe in a little different of a way. Whatever I want to fucking talk about. Yeah. Okay. So I've been thinking about getting a Polyend Play Plus. I've been hearing a lot about it. I've watched literally every YouTube video there is on YouTube about this device. I have seen, um, and generally it has really favorable reviews. Generally, the idea is like it's like a sequencer group box. It has synths in it. It has sample playback. One review described it kind of like an electro mono machine. An electron mono machine is the device that Sophie used to make her beautiful sound design, and I think that really inspired me. This device specifically is about $800, I believe. Maybe like 800. Obviously a little bit more with like taxes and whatnot. So I've really been thinking about getting this because I feel like sometimes I get kind of overwhelmed with working in a DAW, and I feel like I have nothing to export at the end of the day, which is, it just feels like there's too many options sometimes, which this totally relates to something else that we're going to get to later in this video. But, sometimes it just feels like too much, and I just want to also I work in an office all day. I'm staring at a computer screen all day. I don't necessarily want to come home and make music and look at a computer screen. I kind of just want to get into the groove, have an idea of what I'm doing, and just do it. This machine is also very known for just being very easy to work with. Feels like a collaborative partner. I think that's something I've really been desiring a lot in my music journey. Is I would love to be a part of a band. I would love to have someone be along with me and understand and make music with, but I haven't found anyone like that, unfortunately. So I'm really just doing this for myself. And I think that's kind of why Sophie made really great music, is that the mono machine was always there to support her. I mean, it's literally a machine at the end of the day, and contribute to her goals. And the mono machine was really aligned with her goals. And some of my goals are, to kind of be like a conductor in a way, like set up generative systems and be a systems architect for music where I'm making instruments, but the instruments are playing themselves, and I don't necessarily have to be super involved with that. And I'm really discovering, I've been doing a lot of research around that, and this machine kind of seems like it's lent towards that. Definitely if I was doing a DAW-less situation, this would be the machine for me for sure, without a doubt. But it also seems like it's pretty damn capable by itself as well. I've been also looking into the Synth Storm Deluge as well, but what I don't like about that is that it doesn't really have a screen that is very conducive to the UI. It just seems like overly complex, and I don't really want that. Ironically enough, I do want the mono machine, which has been told it's having a really steep learning curve. But I think what's different about the mono machine, pretty much all of the music that I've heard off from the mono machine has been incredible. While with the Synthstorm Deluge, it's just not really giving. It's not really giving that, and I kind of worry about that with this as well, because not all the music I've heard from this has been amazing. Some of the music I've heard has been wow, that's really good. What I have seen from this is you can get to a good 80-75% of a track foundation built within 15 minutes, and that's really appealing to me. I think a couple months ago I made a video about all of my references, and I was just trying to get them out and get them out of my head, and honestly stop using them as references as well. But I have my core things, and one of my core things is I was really inspired by auto-tune when I was younger, just how you could just sing and just try to be evocative, and the program will kind of help collaborate with you to make the sound better. And I was oh, that's so cool. And I think that's why Charlie XCX is able to really focus on just being a writer, and just and focus on having good melodies, and not necessarily focus on always being a perfect singer. She's a good singer, but she's not giving Adele. There's a difference between the two. But Adele can never make Brat, and I think that. But also Charlie can never make 21 or 25. So I think everyone has their own lane, and I think this is kind of my lane. So I really like accessible tools. I really like workflows. Not so much generative, but I do like kind of controlling the beast in a way. Um, I thought about a lot about how I was making music when I first started out, and that was really around making effects and sound design and just like trying to put things together and experiment. And I don't really feel like I've been doing that a lot lately. I feel like I've just been very in my head. I have been making some music actually, which I'm extremely grateful. That's super dope. But I think that this would kind of help. But the question is, do I want to spend $800 on this? I'm trying to sell some of my older music gear that I don't use, and it's about $600 worth. But nobody's really buying it on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put it up on eBay. I really struggle with like those kind of tasks. But anyways, I feel like we're getting off the beaten path. So this is how I feel about the Polyend play. I'm definitely debating getting it. I already have the funds. I'm put away in my savings account. And just like, okay, I'm waiting till like August 1st, and if I still feel this way, that's like in 2 weeks from now. If I still feel this way by August 1st, I'll end up buying it, but who knows? But let's take a quick little break. Let me get a little bit of water, and then we're gonna get to part 2 of this video. How are you guys doing today? I hope you are doing well. Excuse me. Okay, so here's part 2. Let me bring up the photo booth. Part 2 is, well, that looks crazy. Okay, we're just gonna have to deal with that. It's gonna be about sound routing in. Let me fix it. So I feel like I got my shit together. Sound routing in like music softwares. Another thing that I really noticed that I like to do, and this kind of stems from like how I would originally make music, was I would make a bunch of effects, export on a file, a WAV file, or whatever it is, a source, right? And then I would basically print those out, export those, and then do some more funny shit to it, and then like layer more effects. It was a lot of layering and stacking things, a lot of very sound design focused music, and getting the original source file from an interesting source. So I had good foundational stuff to work with, and I noticed that I really like this like recursive thing going on. I've read books about like recursion. I haven't read Gödel, Escher, Bach. I forget who's that by, but I've read things about like recursion just totally in a separate part of my life, and I'm noticing there's like a huge trend about like recursion, transforming things. Being a conductor, not being super involved with things, just kind of like setting up a system and like letting it go on its own. Thinking in Systems is a great book. You should definitely read it. And that's also another book that has contributed to my thought process. And I realized that I really like this. So I was like, and also I have a little bit of gear acquisition syndrome, and I'm trying to like debate this. This is why I'm bringing up the Polyend play thing as well, because I don't know if I want to spend $800 when I have $1,000 sitting right over there, like that I don't use. Like I should maybe try to figure that out. And I think the time has passed. I think if I wanted to use them, I would use them, but I'm not using them. So it kind of gets me into like, if I'm gonna have gear acquisition syndrome, it needs to be with software, because at least it's already on my computer. If I did decide to use it, it's so easy for me to just pull it up and just use it, instead of with a Arturia Instrument 1. I have to bring it out of the package. I have to hook it up. I have to play. I have to figure out how I'm gonna play it again. It's just too much of a learning curve, which is ironic because what I'm about to talk about, it's using FL Studio inside of FL Studio inside of a patcher, and then patcher within a patcher. Like it's very crazy. So if you didn't know, you can use FL Studio as a VST inside of other DAWs. So this could be inside of Logic. This could also be inside of Ableton as well. It could be inside of Reason. Not so much Reason Rack, but just Reason. Um, now let me get to the other side of this. Reason Rack is something that I've been using a lot lately to like generate MIDI patterns and generate chords. And I'm realizing like, oh, you could kind of do some of that stuff with like I think it's called VFX or something like that inside of FL Studio. You can kind of do some similar things like that as well. Not as sophisticated as the Reason Rack players, but still there. And I can replicate other things like the arpeggio very easily within FL Studio. So, and also Reason Rack, I think the full thing, if you're buying it without the student discount, is like $500. Okay, a lot of money. A lot of money. Don't want to do that. I have a student email, so I can get it for $250, which is still a lot of money. Less than $800 though. Big brain, big brain. So what I'm thinking I'm going to end up doing is canceling my subscription, because right now I'm using the subscription. It's $20 a month. Expensive, but not terribly expensive compared to buying the full thing. It's been letting me try it out, and I really like that. And I actually am making more music because of this, but I think I could probably set up a more sophisticated system and something that's going to last a lot longer, because there's some issues with Reason Rack, and I'll kind of get into that, is that Reason Rack doesn't work well in FL Studio, because I've been doing a lot of research. FL Studio, like the way they do MIDI routing and just routing in general inside of it, is totally not the same as every other DAW ever used. It's not the same as Ableton. It's not the same as Logic. You can do like internal MIDI routing inside of Ableton and Logic and send let's say you have something on track 1, you can send that MIDI data to track 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is. You can't, from my understanding, do that inside of FL Studio. You have to do that via the mixer, and the mixer doesn't send MIDI data. But the solution to that is like, oh, just use it in Patcher. Now, Reason Rack does work in Patcher, but it doesn't send the MIDI data for some reason. And I don't know why. And I can't seem to figure it out. It's like too much. It's too much. And I don't feel like figuring it out. So I'm thinking like, okay, I can just kind of do it in a different way that's going to make sense to me. And I could just use I think some of the things I'm thinking about are like mapping it to a scale, and just like, I could just like, I'm pretty good at I'm losing my mind. Computer keyboard typing, like musical typing, I'm pretty good at that. So I can figure that out. As long as it's in key, I'm fine. I don't really need the Reason Rack to do it for me. I like that it's very generative, but I also feel like I can get lost in the sauce in that. Also, I'm realizing that I kind of want to get lost in the sauce in some ways. I kind of just want to have fun. I don't want to think super deeply about every little thing. Like, that's part of the reason why I want to be kind of hands off. I don't want to be like, oh, it needs to be in this key, in this key. I think once I have a good jam, I can move forward. So I'm trying to move towards jamming and less towards tracks. I've been researching that as well. Like, I love a good research. I love a good research project. This has been very stimulating for me. I've been having a lot of fruitful time over the past couple weeks. So I'm thinking about getting rid of this, and then I'm FL Studio within FL Studio. Now this is a beast that I'm not even prepared to really understand, because there is no other program that I know can run itself inside of itself, and it's pretty stable from what I can tell. And then also you can do even more recursion with inside a Patcher. You can do automations. It's like I heard FL Studio was like modular, but I didn't think they meant like this. Like, this is like insanely modular. It's wild. I guess I'll explain some of this other stuff on here as well. My main DAW was like Logic Pro, and I like Logic Pro because it's very like, it feels like using an iPhone in a way. It's kind of souped up. It's also very, very stable, because I used to use Ableton. And that thing used to crash on me. And that shit is annoying. Nobody likes to crash when you're having fun and you're in the middle of a jam. It's not enjoyable. I thought about using Max for Live kind of for the same way I was trying to use like this recursion loop thing. It's like, oh, I wanted to have like a custom instrument. This is also part of the reason why I got on the Groovebox, is because I was like, oh, I really want to have something that feels kind of personal to me, that I understand. Because I think I'm getting to like that level of sophistication with music where it's like, okay, like I know kind of how I produce and how I want things to be, and I want to kind of have something that is going to enable me to do those things without being having to think about them so much. Sometimes they can be very heady concepts, and that's why I wanted to use Max for Live. Um, but I feel like that's another skill I have to learn, which isn't a bad thing. You know, once you learn something, you don't really normally forget it, which is why I'm thinking about using the FL Studio within FL Studio because it's auto recursive, like auto tune in a way. Like once I learn FL Studio and once I learn Patcher, I'll just have a better understanding of it in general. Um, Now FL Studio is kind of completely. I'm a user experience designer. Its user experience is totally different than Logic and Ableton. It is on some other shit. Like somebody was thinking differently. Seriously. Um, and also Max is very, very, very different than Max. And Rekordbox, for example, as well. Um, so I'm not going to learn Max for Live at this current moment. I have a Chat GPT subscription, and I think that does a great job with it being educational, but it's not for me, babe. I don't think I want to learn that. Yeah, I think I kind of talked about everything I want to talk about. Let me see. Let me think a little bit. I guess we can talk a little bit about Rekordbox. I think I'm still definitely going to use Rekordbox in my situation, but it'll be more remix oriented. Um, because you just can't. There's something you can't replicate. You can have the greatest software of all time, but it's never going to beat a knob. Which brings me back to Polyend Play. A physical button. You know, it's one thing for me to be like, oh, okay, let me move my mouse. Let me move my mouse and do something. It's another thing to just be like, move my hand, turn knob, move here, click, 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 click. That there was something Sophie said once that she could make music on the modern machine with her eyes closed, and I believe her, and I believe her. So I think that I am very tempted to get this Groove Box. I don't think I am gonna get it though. Um, you know what? If they have it in my local area and I can like rent it, that would be the real difference. But I don't really know if there's any. I live in Nashville. There's definitely a synth shop here. Now, if they have it, I don't know. I don't know about that. So, I think we talked about everything I want to talk about, babes. Um, I'm going to try to make some music in this FL Studio recursion loop and see how I can make it cool. I also want to talk a little bit about, I guess, Google Play. Yeah, not Google Play, but Google Gemini. I've been using this to do research, and it's been so good. I've learned a lot, like a lot about. I can't even speak. So I would say if you're trying to do like a research through AI, I would say use Gemini. Don't use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is very stingy with their credits. I don't like it. I feel like I run out within like a week or whatever, and then they switch me to like a lower model, and I don't like that. I don't enjoy that. Um, yeah, I think I'm done. Thank you. Bye bye.